So for today's podcast, we're gonna go a little bit off schedule here. Basically, recording this Saturday, September 21st. But I wanted to talk about a viral thing that's been going on here in the, I don't know, maybe just in the Philippines about stress kills, meaning nakakamatay ang stress. That's what they're highlighting because of a famous doctor who has been basically fighting cancer. And I've been seeing a lot of posts about it and a lot of people sharing about it. So I wanted to talk about it as well. What is stress? What are the effects of stress, maybe? Managing your stress and some of my personal take on it. Because stress is a make or break thing, or it's a fight or flight situation. There are good reasons why you have stress. So completely avoiding stress is not the key, or it's not something that you should be aiming for, because stress would come into your life one way or another. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Um but first, let's define what's stress, like the textbook meaning of stress. What is stress in terms of um dictionary definition? So like the previous episode, we're gonna read it from this text so that we're not making a dumb definition about it, so we're not gonna reinvent it. So according to this note, stress is your body's natural response to pressure or demand, whether physically, emotional, or mental. It happens when you feel challenged or overwhelmed by a situation, or your body reacts to help you handle it. Keyword here is natural response. So, what does that tell you? It is in our biology itself that stress would come depending on what kind of situation you are in. But my problem with people saying that they are stressed, or whenever someone would say, I'm stressed about X, Y, and Z, I believe or think that stress is, or the term stress is being used loosely. I'm I'm basically thinking that in the scenario of one when someone has some sort of challenge that came into their life, or maybe they're just annoyed about something, they immediately label it as something that they are stressed about. I feel like it's being loosely used to blame everything on stress, if that makes sense to you. I've seen it quite a while. Maybe I am. No. Yeah, maybe I am one of those guys, one of those people before. But there are benefits of having or having, yeah, having stress, at least in a short burst, meaning short term. Being in a stressful mindset or feeling for a long time, that's when it's really start to get bad. So identifying your stress, it's up to you. Maybe you trigger it something that's good, associate some sort of positive thing about it, or you completely ignore it and then you turn it into a negative feeling because you're taking your sweet time being in that stressful state. So we're gonna talk about also managing. How do you manage that, right? Um so yeah, it's a natural response. And I really hate it when people overuse it. It's just some sort of default description for any situation that they don't like, or they are displeased with whatever that is, and suddenly it's stressing them out and they can't deal with it, and they just, "Oh, hands up, I don't care, I don't want to deal with that." but actually it's something that you have to deal with if it's something important, right? So, what are the good things about stress? For me, I use, well, let's go back to definition, right? The definition says it's a natural response to pressure or demand. Sometimes this associate with some sort of finite time, like a deadline of a certain task. Stress can be good when you feel it because your deadline is like, 3 days away and doesn't look like you're about to finish it within that time frame. But if you're gonna feel that stress, but that stress, again, it's a short time or a short term, that stress will help you focus because you know that if X, Y, and Z does not meet or met, there's some sort of effect to it for that cause. So stress, your body allows you to focus more to do that thing, whatever that may be. So that's the kind of good stress, I would say. I think there's a term for it. Let me find it. I saw it earlier. Uh, Eustress, some shit. Okay, here it is. Um, so yeah, eustress is a positive form of stress that can motivate you. Again, to my example, where you're in a situation, you're in crunch time, it would allow you actually to focus in order for you to do the thing. So the spelling of use, I'm not even sure if I'm saying this right. Eustress, it's EUSTRESS. So look it up. I'm not an expert when it comes to scientific statistics, but I do get stressed a lot because I do a lot of things, and most of the time I am in a stressful state, but not in a negative or chronic state. So what is a chronic state stress? So these are the being in a stressful state for too long. It could be you're stressing about something that you can't control, but you keep on thinking about it before you go to bed. Whenever you're idle, something comes into your mind about that thing that you are seeing as a problem and feeling powerless, and you end up being in that stressful state or that negative state, and being in that, and without actually acknowledging what the cause of it, and just being all negative, being all dramatic about it, then you're basically encouraging that stress to stay for long, and being in that long period of in that state could lead to certain anxiety, physical health problems, because basically too much stress hormones, if I would go scientific on it, it's actually a hormone. It's a chemical that's triggering inside our body. So producing too much of that would result to a shutdown, most probably, which is why if you would search, at least for the past few days or for a few weeks, there's a lot of search about the term, can stress actually kill you? Can stress cause cancer? So those are some of the search tag that I've been seeing throughout the Google Trends, basically, about stress, which is why I wanted to do this, because I want to talk about it, that it's not all about that. But yeah, being in a prolonged state of stress is not gonna be good for you because your body's gonna continually produce that, and it's not gonna ending up be a good effect to your body to continue to produce cortisol, basically. So, how do you manage stress, right? So we talked about not being in long period of it, and stress could be a good thing if it's just a short burst. So how do you manage your problems that could potentially lead to some sort of stressful state or mindset? I think I already mentioned it earlier, is really understanding what is it that you are being stressed about. Is it the task that you need to do for a job? Is it a problem that you have no control of? Oh wait, okay, let's do it. Let's do it like this. There's this activity, or I guess a tool that I learned about, is to write everything that is basically stressing you out, all of your problems, all of your woes. Like really look in, really dig into it. Let's write it. I'm stressed about work. I'm stressed about what's gonna happen next week because of this. Anything, just write it all down, and then from that list, start to cross out what are the things that you basically have no control over. What do I mean by that? Maybe the cause of your stress is a feedback from someone's reaction to a certain thing that you said. You have no control. That's their opinion. So how you handle that, or how do you take that, is beyond you. So you don't really have any control to what that feedback is, because that's their perspective. What you can control, however, is how you reacted it. How do you respond to that person or to whoever said that feedback? So that basically the activity is, as you cross out those things that you don't have any control over, just let them go. Let them be. And then focus on the things that you could actually do something. You can action it. Maybe come up with an activity around it by dissecting it, or yeah, dissecting the problem, identifying what is it that is causing you stress and what are the things that you could do. I'm going to keep repeating this statement over and over again on this podcast. Focus on the things that you could actually have an action to, and release and let go of the things that you have no control over, because it's a waste of your time and your energy. And again, time is energy, and your time is important because that's how you make, I don't know, a living out of it. Your time is so finite that you have to focus on the things that actually matters. I'm gonna keep repeating that on this podcast, and I'm very firm about it. It is something I exercise, and believe me, whatever it's the case, it might be stress, it might be something else, but focusing on the things that you have no control of, not gonna be good for you. So let it go and focus on the things you can control. What else? I'm being very passionate about that real quick. But yeah, the question, let's circle back a little bit, because one of the trending topics about stress was, does stress cause cancer? I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I have no test research about it, but I did try to look up a little bit more context on how it could be. And again, I said it earlier that chronic stress, or being in a state of stress for a long periods of time, could cause your body to have some sort of unhealthy behavior triggers. In this example, on at least what I am battling with is, when I am in a stressful situation, and sometimes I do not have the control over it, but for some reason I couldn't let it go immediately, is I overeat. I basically shove food up my face. Um, and I don't realize I'm doing it until to hit the point that I can no longer eat. I mean, I can no longer consume food because I'm too full. Then I realize, holy shit, I'm doing it again. And I just, sit down, reflect, and try to look at, what's causing this again. And then try to really address the situation, make a list. I started this, I started really making lists of things just so that I could address them. So an activity that I created a list of what could potentially is causing my stressful state. Write them down. Or you don't even have to write them down. You can talk to yourself, have a conversation of what's happening in your life, and then slowly let go of the things that you have no control of. So in a way, that's how you can manage your stress, by understanding the trigger of it. There's I'm not gonna give you like an advice that you must follow this and that in order for you to be stress free. There's no such thing. Because again, in the definition earlier, stress is a natural response. How you react to that stressful situation is the key. So, to give you a quote about it, right? Stress is not what happens to us, it's our response to what happens, and response is something that we choose. That makes sense. And I'm gonna let that sink in a little bit. I'm gonna repeat it while you're thinking about it. Stress is not what happens to us or to you. It is the response to what happens and response to something we can choose. Again, to my activity, as long as you write it down, think about it, have a conversation for yourself, identify what you can do to address that particular stress trigger, you're going to be in a better place because you have a plan to address it. You have a framework to do it. Yeah. That's basically my thoughts to stress and how you manage it. Hopefully this is helpful to you. I given you a tool how you could um create your own how to get away from stress, how to be not stressful all the time. So, yeah. If there's any other topics that you would like to be covered on this podcast, again, it's going to be all about lifestyle, career, self-discovery, self-help, motivation, things of that nature. And it's all going to be related to us, what's happening, how do we react to things. Just feel free to comment down below, and I'll see you on the next episode.